So you've been thinking about selling your home, and maybe you've been browsing Zillow, maybe you've just been wondering what your home is worth, or maybe you're just curious about the process and what that actually looks like. And honestly, I don't blame you at all. So selling a home can feel so overwhelming um, when you just try to do it alone. And very few people don't do a good job explaining, why you're doing what and how you're going to sell your home. And that's exactly what I hope to change today. My name is Brad Berlin, and I'm with the Berlin Group at Keller Williams St. Pete over here in Florida. And over the next few minutes here, I'm going to go through exactly what happens when you decide to sell your home. Um, yeah, when you decide to sell your home. So for that, I'm not going to tell you this from a textbook. I'm not going to be a salesperson here and do a sales pitch for you. Um, but I want to be from the perspective of someone who does this every single day. So that's what I hope to achieve here today. And so you all just watch this and leave with the knowledge of that. And hopefully one day come back to me. I can help you out. But until then, um, but by the end of the video, you're going to understand what happens before your home even hits the market, why pricing is important as well, and how to prepare your home to attract buyers, and why that happens with it before the first showing. We're going to attract a lot of buyers before the first showing if done right. Um, and then also that determines how much money you're going to walk away with. And, we want to get you top dollar from your home. So let's pretend you called me today and said, Brad, I think we're ready. Here's exactly what I would do. So step one, we'll have a consult. I'll set up a time and come over to your house. Now, a lot of people think the first meeting is about me trying to convince you to hire me. That's not what my first meeting is. It's actually the complete opposite. My goal is to understand your story before I ever talk about the house. And because here's something that I have personally learned: nobody wakes up in the morning and randomly decides to sell their home. There's always a reason. Your family's growing, your kids are off to college, and you're looking to downsize. You want to move closer to family. Maybe you're looking to relocate to Florida, or um, you're moving out of Florida, or you just want something different. And every one of those situations is completely different, and there's a different strategy for all of them. Now, I actually spend more time asking questions. I ask questions like, where are you moving? When do you need to be there? Do you have another house already lined up? Is there anything that absolutely has to happen before you move? Because those answers dictate our decision on how we move forward. Let me give you an example. Let's say I met with John and Sarah. They have two younger kids. They already found out a house that they want to buy, but they need the equity from their current home to make the purchase happen. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, oh man, this isn't just selling a house, it's coordinating two major transactions without leaving John, Sarah, and their kids homeless. What type of agent would I be if I left my clients homeless? Not a very good one, right? So that changes our timeline, that changes our pricing strategy, that changes our negotiating strategy, and everything becomes connected. So that's why you need to understand the goal first. So once we do that, once I understand where we're going, now we can start talking about what your home is actually worth. Now that's where people are like, "Oh, sweet, my home is worth, you know, $100 million." Well, so with pricing your home, I'll be honest with you, this is probably the biggest conversation we'll have because everybody wants to know, Brad, how much can I get for my house? Well, here's the answer: your home isn't what Zillow says it is. It's just not. It's not worth what your neighbor's home or hopes their home is worth. It's not worth what you need it to be worth. It's just not that. How we determine what your home is worth is your home's worth is based on today's buyers and what they're willing to buy or what they're willing to pay for your home. It's as simple as that. And sometimes that's a very hard conversation to have. But I'm here to walk you through that. So people ask, Brad, how do we figure out the number? I'm glad you asked. I do what's called a competitive market analysis, or you'll hear it as called CMA. Think about it like putting your home into a championship tournament. I'm comparing homes against other homes that buyers would realistically choose instead of yours. Same neighborhood, same square footage, same age, same updates or similar updates in a similar lot. Because buyers compare homes, but they don't compare spreadsheets. Let me give you this quick analogy. I always use this example. Imagine you're going shopping for a truck, right? And you find two trucks sitting next to each other, same year, same mileage, same condition. One cost $45,000. The second cost $55,000. Tell me, which one are you going to look at first? I'll give you a moment. Yeah, you're probably going to look at that $45,000 one first. Well, homes are exactly the same way. Buyers are comparing value, not emotion. And here's probably the biggest mistake I see sellers make. They say, "Well, my neighbor listed their home for $700,000." And what I always ask is, "That's awesome, but how much did it sell for?" Because those are two completely different numbers. Anybody can ask for $1 million, but it doesn't mean buyers are willing to pay $1 million for that home. So let me tell you a story. I actually had somebody one time tell me, "Brad, let's just list high." Now, on the surface, that sounds kind of logical, but here's what usually happens. The first 2 weeks your home is on the market, that's when the excitement happens, and it's at its highest. Every buyer who's been waiting for a home like yours gets notified. Agents rush to schedule showings. People are curious. If we miss that window because we're overpriced, buyers move on. Then a month later, we're chasing the market instead of leading it. Price reductions start happening, and buyers think, "What's wrong with that house?" And ironically, the seller often ends up selling for less than they probably would have if we would have priced correctly in the beginning. So think about that. Now, here's a quick pro tip. I would much rather create competition than create silence. Competition, remember, creates leverage. Silence, that creates price reductions. So now that we've agreed on pricing, here comes the fun part, getting your home ready for its first impression. Now, I tell every seller the exact same thing. You are no longer living in this home. You're selling a product, and products have to look their best. Now, before you panic, I'm not telling you to spend $50,000 remodeling the kitchen. In fact, I'd probably tell you not to do that. Don't do that. Let me give you an example. Most of the time, the biggest return comes from simple things: fresh paint, pressure washing the driveway, cleaning the windows, replacing burnout light bulbs, touching up baseboard paint, adding fresh mulch, removing clutter, making the room feel bigger, cleaner, brighter. You know, buyers don't buy with logic first, they buy with emotion. It's simple. And with that, let me tell you a quick story. So I never forgot walking into a listing where everything about the home was incredible. It had a beautiful kitchen, it had a great neighborhood, but there were boxes stacked everywhere because they were getting ready to move. That makes sense, right? The homeowner didn't think it mattered, but every room suddenly felt smaller, as one would with all those boxes. So when we spent the afternoon moving these boxes into a storage unit, we rearranged the furniture, letting more natural light into the home. It looked like a completely different house, same square footage, no renovations, just a better presence, and the difference buyers noticed. Buyers noticed the difference. So I'll give you this analogy too. Think about it like selling your car. Would you list it online without washing it first? No, probably not, because presentation affects value. Homes are the exact same way, except we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, not $30,000. So now that we have done the most important thing, we have built a strategy, we've priced your home correctly, and we've prepared it to make its first impression. But that's where most agents stop. They're like, "All right, fine, let's hook it up, put it on Zillow." No. They'll also probably just put a for sale sign in the yard and hope the phone rings. That's where I'm different. And in part two, gotcha. In part two, I'm going to show you why that's only the beginning, and how I market homes to create demand instead of just exposure, and how we evaluate offers, and how we negotiate to protect your bottom line. Just because getting your home under contract is one thing, but getting it to the closing table with the best possible outcome is something completely different. So stay tuned for part two and hear the rest of that. All right. Well, remember, it's always sunny with Brad.